But the difficulty, Justin, is that it needs to be at a higher level. So, like, if you go into too much bashing and too much detail, then you lose people. It needs to be...
Lose people in terms of what? Lose your podiatrists?
Because...
We're in one call, and they were like, how much do you think we should put our prices up? And I was like, double it.
But they don't... But there's a whole disbelief that they're worth that. So there's a whole deeper problem there with them. They have that. You're not worth that. Oh my goodness.
I ran practices really, really badly for about 12, 15 years, like really badly. I didn't value myself. That's why I never... Well, there's another story about orthotics, because there was always that fingers crossed whether they were going to work or not. And if you listen back to the Ronnie Ward talk, did you listen to that?
I have heard it.
The American podiatrist says, you know your orthotics don't work when you turn up the work. There's a hole in your front window. And you go inside and there's a pair of orthotics tied around a brick that's been thrown through your window. That was a true story. You're
going to have to adjust. And
it was always that fingers crossed. So I was always like, maybe they're not going to work. I'll just do it off the shelf, because you didn't want to ask. And you fudged the question. You just got to have that honest question. You've got to value yourself.
Yeah, but realising that, I think it's always realising that every single patient's different, every single condition.
This is the Justin Blake podcast experience for health professionals that mean business. So wherever you are in the world, listen as we discuss everything you need for you and your health business to survive and thrive. Thanks for listening.
Good evening, everybody. Friday evening this time. Evenings seem to be quite popular. This is Sarah Jane. Hi, Sarah Jane. Sarah Jane's in Glasgow, the West End, apparently. It's a bit posh. How are you? Sarah Jane. Hi. There's a 10-second delay in this. So, off we go. How are you?
I'm grand.
How's things in Glasgow?
It's brilliant. It's roasting, which is great. Although it was raining today, but it's really warm. Yeah, it's good. It is really good. So yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, it was roasting here yesterday. It was about 26, 27 degrees. I think you saw a video. I was down at the beach all afternoon. It was great with Charlie and a couple of other friends. It was fantastic. Today was a little bit overcast, but it's still quite warm. A bit of a breeze now, so it's okay. So yeah, Glasgow. It's
Bonnie, Scotland. Got my
Iron Brew. I only drink Iron Brew when I'm extremely thirsty the next day after I've been out in the night drinking.
I knew what you were going to say.
It's a good hangover cure. It's a great tonic. It's lovely. It's the only time I ever drink it. It's probably the only thing I could probably drink for about a day. But anyway, Sarah Jane, you're a podiatrist, but you've only been, you're 2 weeks. You're podiatrist for 2 weeks. So tell us about that then.
Well, yeah. So when you invited me on, I was like, "What do you want me to talk about, Justin?" So yeah, new, fresh, out the batch pod. Although I'm not looking very fresh. Obviously, I was.
How did they do the finals and the practicals and everything with lockdown?
So GCU,
Glasgow Caledonian University, for anybody who doesn't know, who's listening here, with Australia and everywhere.
So yeah, they did their best. The team were great. It was pretty stressful. We were at GCU do a month-long full-time placement at the NHS, and we were 3 weeks into that. So we were finished all our classes and stuff, like everything theory-wise, to be honest. In Glasgow, it's 4 years anyway, so you've pretty much learned so we do 4 years. So by the end of third year, you've already passed all your clinical stuff. You're not learning any new podiatry in fourth year. It's all about more.
Not learning anything new. Are you sure?
Well, you're doing your dissertation, and
what are you doing an extra year for then?
We did mobilizations, and we did like medical acupuncture and stuff as well that year. But it was much more just basically lots of case studies, lots of clinical hours. That's it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, as a wee bit
is the last year mostly placement then?
Pretty much, yeah.
Any good ones?
Yeah, so the amount of hours that we do here placement is, I know that I think halfway through third year, we've done the amount that's required to be qualified. and we've still got like another year and a half to go of placement. So we do loads of placements. Like I think I've done, as a student, I've done about 52 nail surgeries.
Really?
Yeah. Exactly. Because we are in and we're going. Yeah. It's
Okay.
you're for that full month as well.
Just on a thing, how many patients did you cast in your training?
Two.
Oh, sorry, because the colleagues in Ireland, hi Mark, Ryan, and Stephen, and I think they were in Edinburgh. I was like, how many have they cast? Mark was like, I'll never cast a patient. It's like, what? Yeah, I missed that day. When I trained in the London Foot Hospital, we used to make all our own orthotics. We were casting from second year. Used to cast. Stuart Bird's watching. Used to tell me off because he liked 3 layers of plaster of Paris around the thing, and I used to 2. Got told off one time for that. We were casting cast strong enough.
No, so for to be honest, the program has probably changed a lot since you guys were when you did it. It was probably a wee while ago now. We don't really.
You're not drinking Le Farm Brew to preserve myself like you.
We don't really do a lot of insoles. That's not a big part of our. It's not as the evidence isn't there for that as much as rehab, re-education, getting them changing their habits. So we don't. Insoles are not a front line.
Were you aware of, or were you told when the course then sort of changed like that? Because I know certain courses are still pretty much the same as when I qualified.
GCUs probably, what I've realised speaking to people and other students around the UK, they're not all the same. I would have thought it would have just been a similar curriculum that you're on, but it doesn't seem to be the case. So,
because I was told, and I think you've heard me talk about before, everybody has, I think it's taught wrong way round, should be all biomechanics.
Yeah, biomechanics first.
And I was told, well, you can't do that, and there's a curriculum to stick to, and there's stuff to get through and boxes to tick, and we can't do that, Justin. And it's like, because there's certain places that I've interviewed newly qualified podiatrists out, and my kid Charlie knows more biomechanics than they do. I mean, obviously different students are at different levels.
Yeah. I went into
one was extremely poor. I was like, where did you qualify from? Really? I mean, I know your lectures personally. And the lecturers then told me, well, yeah, different people are at different levels, Justin, and she wasn't.
Yeah, a lot of the students. I suppose I was entering podiatry. I've got my own business. I've had my own business for nearly 20 years, and I'm already a physical therapist. Like prior to doing podiatry, so for me,
you're already on that track. But
it was. I just wanted to really narrow and I suppose. Become an expert in something rather than a master of all. I can do all master of none. So,
did you think that the course allow you that?
No.
Okay.
No, I thoroughly enjoyed the course, but it wasn't. There was a lot of it that. I just had to get through, but that's just how it is. You have to know these things to be a safe practitioner, and that's fine.
I mean, did you say 56 nail surgeries?
52, 51, 52. Yeah, I counted them up.
I think we did quite a few at London Foot Hospital, and we had quite a good sort of grounding in. They used to do a lot of the nail surgeries in sort of like full theatre, sort of get up and sort of sterile and that sort of thing. So it really well prepared you for sort of going on to, if you wanted to assist with the podiatric surgeon or you wanted to, that was really well prepared.
They do that in the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. We are under, I would debate it's not full sterile conditions, but it's in the theatre. It's like in the theatre, and you're masked and caped and, you're crazy. But when you're out doing community and it's just
do it all on your knee.
It's just chilled. It's completely different. But not completely different. The procedure's the same and the protocol's the same and everything's the same. It's just you're not in this kind of surgical type environment. It's got a different feel to it.
I mean, I've had a couple of NHS jobs in between private practices when I first qualified, and you had to get on the nail surgery rotation there. Again, you weren't doing it on yourself. There was
that depends on the health board, doesn't it?
It's all different, multifactorial. But yeah, you would learn like maybe get a week rotating into the nail surgery extended soap practitioner for 2 weeks, and then you get a couple of weeks into the diabetic stuff, or you get. I mean, I was quite lucky. I got to go to King's, see Ali Foster and Mike Edmonds, and things like that.
I think that was about podiatry is all the different routes, though, that you can go. All the different options. I think in terms of like podiatry as a career, it's got so many avenues that you can do.
I've pivoted and changed so many times, but I found that and then you get a biomechanics rotation. But if you were new in qualify, if you were new into that health authority, it could be 6 months before you got the rotation into biomechanics or things, and it was very, very quite limiting.
You have to, I suppose the way I see that though is,
and like you weren't allowed to do one. I mean, you had to refer a nail surgeon. You weren't allowed to do one. It was that you had to send them to them.
Oh, okay. No. Greater Glasgow and Clyde are pretty much, you work at the top of your like band effectively. So if you're going to band 5, they are wanting you to do everything up to your top.
Yeah. Hi, Tommy Farrell and Angela and Elliot and Sean Savage. Maybe you're all still watching. 10 people are watching. Say hello, everybody. Let us know you're here.
Your Gary Goldie is there.
Gary Goldie. And you look like you're sitting in a clinic. Well, actually, you're sitting in your house. Why have you got posters up on the wall of anatomy and stuff? Are you that much of a nerd?
No. Well, yeah, probably. So this, as I kind of alluded to earlier, I have had my own business for, I suppose technically ran my own business since 2003, but kind of been doing my own thing since 1999.
What business is that?
So I own a large Pilates and yoga studio in the south side of Glasgow, and it has an injury clinic attached to it. So as well as a Pilates teacher, which I've done, and I'm a fully comprehensive Pilates teacher, meaning I use all the equipment. And I am also a remedial therapist as well. So that means that I do a lot of hands-on body work.
What's a remedial therapist?
So remedial therapist.
Back in class.
So what does that mean? So basically,
I do know what a remedial
right. Some people might know.
That's what I'm asking. Some people don't.
Yeah. So I was a sports therapist first, and then I went on and did. I've been working my way through a guy called John Gibbons. I've got a lot of his books here. His diploma. And I obviously have been in the past, I've done my personal training qualification as well. So I combine all of those skills in manual therapy, soft tissue release, to not only have people come in and they've got an injury, they're getting their rehab program there as well. So the podiatry side of that really links in with that, because I knew that from a lot of the things that we were doing, even in Pilates, we start from the feet, we start from those strong foundations and everything proximal to that. So I know that, somebody's got a lower back problem, I know the feet can very much be involved in that. So I can't just be looking at where the onset of pain is, but I know that isn't always the root cause of the actual problem. So I wanted to dig deeper into a lot of those kind of theories and I suppose way of working and expanding my knowledge there.
And would a lot of Pilates teachers be sort of the same, sort of starting from the ground up?
The ones that work with me, yes. So the ones that work with me, I put them through. So I usually sponsor them through their initial training. So a lot of people that work in the studio. Say there was a podiatry clinic here, a Pilates clinic here in Dublin. I know, and I mean you have mat Pilates and also reformer. Yes, so we're a fully comprehensive studio. So we've got.
Hopefully, people know what the difference is.
That big machine there is a reformer.
Yeah. Yes, you got your own personal reformer.
Well, this is the West End clinic, so this is my clinic room in the house. So obviously, there's nobody coming into it.
Who would you see there if there wasn't all this?
So, as you described at the start of this, I stay in a nice area of Glasgow.
West End.
Yes. So I have a lot of clients that live locally.
The only thing I know about Glasgow is Ramsey Nesbitt. I mean, come on. No,
so
I've been to Glasgow. It's fantastic. A cousin of mine was a pediatrician in Glasgow. Hi, Porrick. He's now Yeah, he's lived there for years. And
Glasgow's brilliant. My studio's in the south side of Glasgow, right next to Govan. So if you know Govan,
he comes from Govan. That's where Alex Ferguson comes from, isn't it?
All of that, I have no idea. Yeah. But it's
no idea. He's like Glasgow's most famous club. Anyway, big shout out to Liverpool. Rachel Ong, if you're watching. Rachel, my friend, Rachel Ong. She won't come and talk to me. Rachel's been the podiatrist for Liverpool since 2000. Right? She goes to the Melwood training ground 2-3 days a week, looks after the academy players. Seen them all. Been through all the managers. Jared Houllier rings her every year on her birthday. She won't come along. She thinks people aren't interested in a 20-year podiatry career with a Premiership team. Thinks it might be dull and boring. She's also signed a non-disclosed thing because we can't talk about anything really interesting. But we're going to run that past the media department before we put it out. So, Rachel, I was talking to her this morning. I was asking her, is she getting a bonus because Liverpool won the Premiership last night? She's like,
she don't get a bonus.
She doesn't even get ticket allocation. Standard. I mean, she gets tickets all the time. And I've been to Melwood a couple of times with her. It's great. And she must be doing something right, because you don't know if you know about. So normally, when a manager changes, the whole backroom staff changes. She's been there for 20 years.
Yeah.
Do you think everybody would be interested in that?
I think that would be quite an interesting chat. Absolutely. What does she do? It's obviously inversion sprains and things. It'll be ankle joints that she'll be doing.
It tends to be more. I mean, they get the specialist podiatrist and the medical stuff in for the serious stuff. But if you got somebody earning $1 million a week and he can't get out on the park on a Saturday because he's got an ingrown toenail in an ingrown corner, it's a huge deal. It's a huge deal. Imagine, he can't play. I mean, I don't know what player was playing with a broken toe or couldn't play. Somebody will be able to tell us.
Yeah, but you're also thinking, I suppose, with football and things like that, there's probably going to be a lot of hallux issues, a lot of like turf toes and things, like these types of injuries and stuff.
Football, of course, a couple of weeks ago we talked about the worst feet, great legs, ballet dancers like Pat Rooney and Tom Novella. Yeah, footballers' feet. And again, they want to wear the boots too small for improved feel. And
I wonder if she's doing a lot of work with the rehab guys as well, because that would be super interesting, that if she's not only just doing podiatry stuff but actually working in that kind of proprioception and building up. No, probably not.
No, all the guys do that. And I mean, some of the players, like, they bring their own physios with them at certain stages. That was like a big Italian sort of thing.
They're all linked together, so I would hope she would have some say in that.
I will see. I don't know. She won't talk. She's got great stories. I'll tell you about the time that. No, I can't, because she's like. Some absolutely crazy stuff. So anybody thinks they'd like to talk to a Premiership player? Let's start a campaign. Rachel, come on, let's talk about it. We'll have to run it past the powers that be at Liverpool first, so we can clear it. But
yeah, they did. A few years back.
20 years. She must be doing something, right?
Yeah, well, certainly, I suppose finding a good podiatrist, though, is probably quite difficult, isn't it? There's not really a lot of us. It's quite a small...
Well, there's not a lot of good ones.
Well, I'm not saying that. I don't know that.
That's fine. What do you know?
I mean, there's not a lot of podiatrists. It's smaller.
There's not a lot of podiatrists. Well, I was shocked when we talked with the Spanish Jose and Brian a couple of weeks ago. There's like 250 podiatrists in the south, and Sean is on again. Apparently there's 600 plus in Northern Ireland. They've only got a population of 1.5 million.
I'm sure when I was looking, hi Linda and Myra, they're in watching.
Myra.
You're there. Myra's a foot health practitioner from Glasgow.
Who's David Liftana? Hi, David.
No idea.
So it's all double barrel names this evening, isn't it?
Sarah Jane. Linda Young is on as well. Linda's one of my fabulous Pilates teachers.
Right.
She's a good girl.
What are you saying? There's not many good podiatrists. There's not many.
I did not say that. Stop putting words in my mouth.
Let's rewind it. You did.
As a profession, we're a small profession. Behave yourself. So I think when we looked, when I was preparing for my exams, we had to look
I did have to have a drink. I didn't see my friend Jasper this morning. He was having beers at 5:30 in Singapore. As his usual, it's Friday again. I told you I lost the day today. Lunchtime, I went out and thought it was Saturday and got a day back. But anyway, I was drinking water most of the time, but for the final cheers, we actually had to drink some rum. I was like about 11 this morning, so that was just a little sip, and it was fine. No, I was able to. It was fine, but anyway, back to there's no good podiatrist. What was that? Apart from me.
You're a liability.
I'm not. Go ahead. There's not a lot of podiatrists. Well, what do you mean?
There's not. Well, look at if you go into the
according to the podiatrist, there's like, well, where are all these patients that, if there's not that many, why aren't private practices doors being beaten down by all these people with foot problems? Because I remember it was pretty crazy. We had a training day about 3 or 4 years ago. Just came into my mind. I think there was 8 or 10 of us. And we went round, and all the guys who were working for me at the time were, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8 years qualified. There was 14 of us. We went round and you asked them all, someone had a hip issue, somebody had a knee, this and that and the other. It's pretty much, 80, 90% of it. We all had musculoskeletal issues. And it was like, so where's all the patients of age? The average age was quite youngish. We were a young group. We used to take a lot of students and are just newly qualified. And Rachel Ong is on and watching. Rachel, come on, Rachel. We'll get you on the call, Rachel. We'll pull you on this evening. Do you want to come on?
Pull it up.
We'll bring her on the camera. Rachel, I can send you a link. She won't come on because anyway, the story she told me about, well, I can't do it. There used to be some stories. Anyway, they were all, it was like, you're just, that's what I was trying to explain to them. You're a group of young, sort of fit, healthy people, and you've got this problem, you've got this problem, you've got that problem. We're all our patients rushing towards us of your average age group beating down the door. So if there's so little podiatrists you think are good podiatrists, and there's thousands and millions of people out there with foot and leg and ankle problems, why isn't there a queue outside most private practices, Sarah Jane? Why do you think that?
Okay. So having had my own business for a long time, I've had to spend a lot of time learning marketing, learning sales, learning how to get the right type of customers. So there is no shortage of patients. There is no shortage of work. There is no shortage of filling your diary. If you just commit to not just putting a sign up and waiting for people to ring.
Rachel on Instagram. Go on, you keep talking.
Right, keep going. So you need to start just working out and putting your marketing towards it. Has she just cut you off? I'd cut you off.
Come on, Rachel. We're not going to talk anything about Liverpool this evening. Even though they won the championships, go on. And they're going to win next year and the next year and the next year. But anyway. Sorry.
I don't think there's any shortage of business. I really don't think that's nonsense. So
no, of course it's not.
It's a case of most people learn podiatry. You learn your skills, you learn your skill set, and you think in your head, oh, wait a minute, I need to do another course. I need to go and do this course before people will come because then they'll see me as the expert. If I just keep doing courses that are nothing to do with business and marketing usually, then what happens is you said, end up doing all these courses and not using any of these new skills because you've not got those patients to put it in or to do because you don't know what, you're not actually doing anything with it. It's pointless. So you actually need to stop and
I think it was Ted Jednak who we're going to be interviewing. And again, Ted, come on, book the link. Everybody's waiting. He put something out the other day that he'd crunched the numbers of the people who have come to his courses over the years. And apparently only about 10 or 12% of people actually implement what they're being taught.
Exactly. That's not unusual for courses.
Really?
No, not really. No. CPD, no. It isn't. Think about it.
And what is it that diabetic evenings and rheumatology evenings are like booked out, and the business track evenings are maybe they have to listen to me again. Maybe that's why they don't come on.
Because you know what? It's not sexy. It's not exciting. And I also think as a healthcare practitioner, hi, Jamie's on as well. Good to see you. Jamie's a fantastic sports therapist down in Newcastle. Fabulous sports therapist, I should say. Absolutely world class. But anyway, there we are. Now, what I should say is that most people don't like to learn about business because, and also as a healthcare practitioner, a healthcare professional, we feel dirty asking people for money. We feel like we should do it out of some goodness of our being or something. We feel dirty.
Somebody said to me, it's because everybody's very familiar with the familiar stuff, the CPD things that are on, and they're that they'll understand it and they'll get it and things like that. Where like if it's sort of business stuff, it's and as soon as you talk about scripts or plans or packages, everybody's like, oh, it's a bit salesy, But
people hate sales. But you don't need to be sale. What's happening now? People don't like to sell, but the reality is you don't need to sell. All you need to do to communicate with your ideal patients is just talk to them like a normal person. What are they struggling with? What do they need help with? Tell them a story. So a great way to do this, so for example, if you're in any kind of business, whether you're a personal trainer, a podiatrist, a foot health practitioner, a sports therapist, whatever it is, go on, talk to your patients, so identify what their problem is. First thing you want to do, so whether you're doing a Facebook Live, what problem are you going to solve for them? Okay, is it back pain, heel pain, knee pain? What is it?
Yeah.
Give a story, give an example.
My friend Mark, again, everybody's listening to this. Maybe that's why they say they don't come on. I've talked about this in my Firefly lecture 3 years ago. Mark, you're like a stuck record, Justy. What are you talking about? You tell us it's like they haven't listened. I said the other morning.
But you need to keep repeating.
There's a colleague who I think he was in Sligo 3 years ago. I certainly been on like 2, if not 3 calls that I've talked on, all about, stop talking about yourself. The patient doesn't want to know. They don't care your qualifications. They don't care about any of that. They just want the outcome. Last week, as I used to do, he's doing on his Facebook, the meet the team. Every couple of days, there's a new team member on. Yeah, guess what? All they're talking about is their qualifications, the courses they've been on, and all that sort of.
I know that adds credibility, but it doesn't. It's not.
Have you not been listening the last 10 weeks?
Patients.
Pardon me?
It's not going to get you patients. It adds some credibility, but that won't get you patients. What you have to do is there's a simple 5-step process. 5-step process to no matter whether you're writing a blog, producing a podcast, producing a Facebook Live, or whatever you're doing. If you follow a simple 5-step process, which is...
Tell us about the 5-step process. Right. What's your 5-step process?
First thing, it's not mine. This is from like your big marketing guys, your Gary Vaynerchuk's, your Stu McLaren's.
Because again, I mean,
who are these people?
No. This isn't anything new. I mean, as a friend said today, people have to advertise. Coca-Cola advertises, McDonald's advertise all the time.
Of course they do.
Everybody knows Coke. Everybody knows McDonald's. Why do they still advertise?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's not a rhetorical question. It's like
5-step process that does not involve selling, right? You're not selling. First thing you need to do is have a hook. Your hook is, what's the pain point? What problem are you solving? And it doesn't.
You're switching off now because you're talking business stuff and you've already lost.
No. So
keep it simple.
Let's
keep it simple. That person, I think I spoke with my Spanish friends a couple of weeks ago. It's like, the lady who comes in to see you with a sore foot, and she's had it for 5 years. It isn't the pain in her foot that she's there with, because she's had it for 5 years. It's the fact she's going off to Spain in September to dance at her daughter's wedding. She's going to rock some Jimmy Choos. That's why she's there. So the hook.
That's your story, your hook. So that's the next stage. So your first stage is the hook, right? So what problem are you solving? Because you need to have that headline, get them in. Second stage is the story. Tell a story. Give that story. So one of my patients came in, she wanted to go dance. Tell a bloody story of where you've used that, where that you've solved that problem for somebody, and make that person a real person, one of your patients. Tell a story without giving names.
Tree and Breach and Fiona, they were fantastic at it. When somebody told them what their problem was, they just went, yeah, I had a lady in 2 weeks ago like this. She just had exactly the same problem as you. It's not a story. Because people when they phone up...
You can relate to that.
Well, they're a little bit worried. They're a little bit afraid.
A sore heel.
How many people out there, when you say to them and they tell you they've got heel pain and you tell them it's the most common problem you see, they just see them going, oh, thank God, because I thought I was the only one.
Exactly.
They've been Googling it, been asking them friends.
You're giving them that relief.
Built it all up. You go, man, I'm fucking sick. I saw four yesterday. And they're like, really? I thought I was the only person in the world that had this.
No.
Just psychologically, it's just crazy.
So that's it. Your hook, your story. Third one is the lesson. What's the lesson? What can you tell them now to do that will take their pain away? Give them a quick win. 3 lessons max, no more than 3. Then give them your 4th step, call to action. Give them something to do. It could be as simple as sharing this. Could this help anybody? Share it. Oh, click onto it. Give them something to do. Don't just leave them hanging. And then your 5th, and the one that everybody leaves out, is summarize. Repeat what you just did in a quick summary. Boom, done. Get out. And use that format, your 5-step format. We
used to give them a quick summary sheet to take away with the plan and everything written on it. Because when they jump in the car, the husband said, they go home normally, and their daughter or whoever else is home, he goes, what did he say? Or what did she say? They go, I can't remember. They used to give them a sheet. This is provisional diagnosis, such and such. What will we find? Da, da, da. Here's the treatment plan. So when they got in the car, they went, he goes, this is what he said. Simple. So simple.
What I do, which is quite similar to that, is I use Clinical as my booking software, so my patient notes go in there. Yeah. And what I do is, and it's actually a really good sales tactic as well, although it's not sales, I actually write up the notes, and then I write, so I've got my SOPR notes, and at the bottom of that I have my recommendations, conclusions, and then I email PDF, send that to them. They get a copy of their clinical notes.
You can do that off PPS, and you can do that off a couple of other things. So again, you don't.
And they see everything that you've done. They see how thorough you've been. They see it all in black and white. They can see, wow, okay. And they can go away and absorb. And also it's got usually a contact detail, like an email or something or whatever, with your recommendations. And it's simple. It's something you're doing anyway. You're writing your notes anyway. Just look at that process as well as actually this.
Well, of course, some people are still back in the 18th century writing in quill and ink.
No, you need.
They are. I'm telling you.
Oh, they're not.
They are. And then when you tell them to upgrade, they freak out because they think they're going to have to put all their patient notes onto the thing. You just put them on one at a time as they come in, or else you just take a picture of it and upload it to it. It's like, I know somebody, you've met her the other day, Sarah. She was like, oh, Jesus, I've got so many patient notes. How am I going to? You don't put them all on one time. You just put them on as they come in. And then you get rid of the rest of them because you've probably got boxes full of people you haven't never seen for years. What are you doing with all those?
That would give me. Well, you're
scan it or send it to a company that scans them all and puts them all on it for you. Stop wasting your time doing it yourself. We talked about that with my business coach Paul Wright. What was he saying? Successful people spend money to save time. Yeah,
well, you do, but
you don't make your own ebooks.
I suppose people would just feel.
You're right. You send it off to somebody else, makes it for you.
Usually somebody do on Fiverr or people per hour or something.
Upwork. I've got 4 or 5 people at Upwork.
Depends what it is. But
podcast guy.
Ashley here is.
Podcasts are coming out soon. We're supposed to they only started off doing podcasts. That's all I wanted to do. Haven't the time to do them yet. The lady who does my ebooks, Christopher, my ex-Google AdWords guy, if anybody wants to know how to kill it with Google Ads, Chris is the man. The guy who does my bit of artwork for me, a video guy. They're all Upwork. Easy. And we're trying to find somebody to translate the talk we had with the Spanish guys, because one of the Spanish guys wanted to do it himself. Jose is moving to Devon in August, all being well. He wants to practice his English by translating my ramblings into Spanish.
Good luck.
It's like I think we talked to them about 3 weeks ago. He still hasn't done it. I'm like, I've downloaded it and had a transcription thing done. We'll send it off and we'll get it translated in about a day and a half for about €60. Joe says, you need a life mate. You'll get out a bit more.
No,
spend money. So it's like saying a bookkeeper. Everybody you talk to is like snowed under with bookkeeper stuff. Pamela, hi Pamela, used to come in mine on a Thursday afternoon from like 2 till 5. I used to meet her every second week at 2:30, sign some checks, and she was telling me how much I owed the tax man. That was it. It cost €50 a week. I don't do any book work.
There's certain, I suppose people struggle to delegate stuff on. They do because they feel but also to delegate, you have to be quite organised because you have to get all your stuff organised to then pass that on to somebody else. But you just have to do it. It's painful to start with.
You got to read Tim Ferriss' 4-Hour Work Week.
Oh, I'm sure that. Yeah, I'm sure that's on my bookshelf.
He's like, turn your emails off. Or turn your phone if you're working. Turn your emails off, your phone, everything. No messengers, no nothing.
No distraction.
Focus for that half hour. So you open an email in the morning first thing, and it can ruin your whole day.
Yeah, but you shouldn't do that. You have to have good
sister's just messaged me. My sister's just messaged me, and she's just ruined my evening. But anyway, you know what I mean? It's just like
look, just put it away.
Well, I'm having to look who's on. Rachel, come on. We're going to talk Liverpool, everything.
There's been a few. I can't see who's all on. Who's all there? Jamie, are you there? Amanda's there. Good to see.
Hold on a second.
Hello.
Hold on a second.
Pod people.
Here.
Myra's there. Good. So, literally just... So, Jamie, you there, darling? Just qualified, just finished. And going out into COVID new world, what would your advice be for a new pod then, Justin?
You're already set, mate. You're just going to expand your empire that's already there.
But see, that's what everybody assumes, but that's not what's going to happen. Why would I bother? No.
Why would you bother what? You're not going to be a podiatrist. You're not going to be a good one.
No. I'm not going to do it. No, of course I'm going to do some pods work, and I will do.
Why podiatry then?
So it wasn't my first choice. I think I'd said this to you. It wasn't something, I'll be honest, up until 2014, 15, I had a clue about. I got heavily involved in politics. I don't know if I should really mention this. Politics is the big bad P word, isn't it?
In what way?
Well, I was the operations director of Yes Scotland, the campaign that was leading the referendum campaign for a yes vote.
A yes vote to stay.
Not to come out of Europe, as in to leave the United Kingdom.
Oh yeah.
So I was the operations director of that.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So
hold on a second. When was that vote? That vote was just
2014, 18th September. So
you were a podiatry student then? No.
No, I started after.
Because you had in your third year, you had your second child.
I had my third child.
Third child when you were in your third year.
Yeah.
How long did you take off?
11 days.
I mean, you had two kids before that. So when you started podiatry, how old were your children?
So I started podiatry after all the political stuff finished.
We'll get back to the political stuff in a moment.
I nearly became an MP, but I think that's a whole other chat, right? So okay. I was either becoming an MP or go back to uni. So I went back to uni. Probably the right decision. Anyway,
how many old were the kids then?
So they would have been like 3 and 5, something. When you started
your podiatry, and then your third year.
So I was in my third year, but I did an extra year. I did my sports therapy qualification before doing. So I only did a year of that. Only needed to do a year because I already had a previous degree. So I did that and then went straight into podiatry. And it was on that sports therapy qualification that one of the lecturers there introduced me to podiatry. I had no idea. And that's when I started looking. I had no concept of what podiatry was.
That touches back to where we were before. You had the clue.
I don't know what we do.
And you'd worked in Pilates and you worked in remedial therapy and you worked in everything else.
Podiatrist, I'd have been like, is that working with kids? Is that pediatrician?
So how come, so what is it? What is it then? Well, that says it reflects poorly on podiatry.
That's the truth. That's the truth. I had no idea. So it was a lecturer there that said, look at podiatry. I think it would be right up your street. And I couldn't believe it when I looked at the prospectus. I was like, wow. And it was all of the different scope of practice, the fact that you had the surgery element, the fact that there were so many options, the use of local anaesthetics, the use of your POMS A, POMS S, and then the doors that then opened. So I could then go and do corticosteroid injections. I could go and do diagnostic ultrasounds. And for me, obviously very interested in MSK, that scope of practice massively appealed to me. So it was like, wow, podiatry is where I need to be at.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. Yeah. I mean, I said I did a lot of dance stuff. I've done ski, biomechanics, cycle fit, triathletes, marathon runners, Lindy Hop dancers, MSK, musculoskeletal mobilization. I mean, that's like what? How many is that? That's like 6 different careers within podiatry. All in the same scope of MSK practice. It's been amazing.
What do we do, but in fairness, though, what do we do to raise the profile of podiatry? You know, I've got a lot of friends on here, like Jamie's on, Amanda's on. There's loads of people on here who I know not through podiatry, who are physiotherapists, physical therapists, sports therapists, Pilates teachers, personal trainers. Yeah. And they probably, probably only through me doing this course, most of them actually have said to me, why the hell are you doing that, SJ? What are you doing? Why do you want to work with bogging feet? What are you doing?
Well, I had a chat with Tyson a couple of weeks ago on one of the Wednesday morning chats, and it was like, there was this sort of perception that podiatry in Australia was fantastic, and everybody knew what podiatry was in Australia, and podiatrists there were killing it. Like,
no idea.
That's not the case. That's not the case. Hello, Francisco.
The guys watching. You all know what does a podiatrist do?
What
do they do? What do we do?
I'm practicing my Spanish because I'm going to Spain I've been invited to Spain to train Spanish podiatrists and biomechanics. That'll be interesting. I've got to brush up on my technical Spanish. Apart from eleve los precios, put your prices up.
Most of them will be able to speak English. I wouldn't.
Yeah, but they're going to get a translator apparently.
Don't worry.
Translate Northern Ireland English.
Oh God. No.
Yeah. So anyway, back to. So you were the manager for the Yes campaign. So that was like your mates with Nicola.
I wouldn't say no. We're not mates, but she was my professional colleague for a number of years. But
yeah, okay. And who else was on the Yes side there in Scotland?
So back at that time, Alex Salmon was the First Minister. Yeah, but that's a bit of a funny name at the minute, isn't it?
Because he had his own issues, but he's all good now.
He was a different. He was an interesting character. That's all I'll say.
Scotland was like, well, we won't get into. I mean, we've got Ireland, Northern Ireland. The Spanish guys offended a lot of people because they were like. Anyway, so we won't get into the whole.
Well, I didn't apply. I seem to just kind of fall into these random positions. Just I don't know how it happens.
I don't know why.
I just seem to get into trouble no matter where I go.
I think you're quite go ahead.
So I didn't apply for that operation. I wouldn't have been qualified for that operations director role. I got it because I was on the advisory board for Yes Scotland, and things weren't going very well. And
what do you mean things weren't going very well? What with the campaign?
But internally as well. Like, I mean,
it was quite close in the end, wasn't it?
It was really close at the end, but early on in the campaign, like 2012, when it was only maybe 6 months in, there was a lot of stuff going on internally in the Yes campaign that was all over the press. There was a lot of people getting fired, a lot of people leaving, and there was a lot of stuff going on internally. And I was part of the advisory board of that. And round that table of the advisory board, let's just say there was a lot of people with vested interests who wouldn't speak their mind, if that makes sense. Well, Sarah Jane always speaks her mind, whether it's welcome or not. So I just opened my chops, said what needed to be said, and left.
Right. The left what? Like left them to it.
I just left. I was like, I'm out. And I just said what needed to be said and left. And then
because I mean, well.
Well, I got a phone call the next day.
I didn't pay much attention to it because it was Scotland.
Well, I thought I was going to get sacked off the advisory board. I thought, that's me out for saying that. I just said I had enough.
Because it was literally. You were going to take back. We were going to, got all the old natural resources there, the oil.
Oh, we can get into that, but yeah, it was a fun time, but. After my experience,
anyway, when's the next one? When are we going? It's like probably like Ireland. Ireland ran a few referendums and they didn't get the right vote. They just had it again and again to get the right one.
The time isn't right.
Europe one. You can't do that.
We need to sort the time isn't right for that. But essentially, I ended up getting asked to win.
Talk about this yes campaign. So anyway, you're not going to do podiatry. You are going to be a podiatrist. I'm confused now.
Yeah. So
you're already retiring like me.
No, so basically after I asked to go in, because I basically said what needed to be said, and let's just say people noticed that, and then particular people contacted me and asked if I could go in and do what needed to be done. So that's what I did. So I went in as the opening.
You did a very good job. They lost.
I kept the ship steady, as they say, and
as you said, there was a lot of infighting and stuff before.
There was a lot of stuff going on, and I won't get into that because
everybody's got to be on the same page. Well, again, I don't know whether that then relates to podiatry. Then does it? Because I've often talked, in the bar at conferences, that sort of like whole thing about like trying to raise the profile of the profession, and a couple of times it's like, where we all have a whip round. Everybody stick a couple of £100 in and let's do. I mean, they did quite a good. I don't know whether you saw the recent media Facebook campaign in terms of trying to recruit more students, because the days, as you know, the days of taking out newspaper ads or sticking an ad in between Corrie to try and promote. And I mean, there have been podiatrists in things. I mean, Cameron Kippen, when I spoke to him a couple of weeks ago, there's been films about it. I think it was Ralph Graham advised. Some of the Monty Python guys in a film back in the 70s and stuff. They tried to raise the profile, but you can imagine what you could do with 10 grand on a Facebook campaign. You
need to go to where the students are, right? So you really
there's this sort of thing that they're not recruiting enough students in. That's why they put a big student out, because the numbers are dropping down.
But to give you an example of this then, right? So how
many qualified in your year?
What's that?
How many qualified in your year?
40, I think 42 to 44 or something like that. Started, I think 18 qualified, 18 graduated. Yeah.
The rest of them?
It's a brutal course. It's brutal. It's not an easy course.
I know who's in charge. So Stuart Baird, hi Stuart. Stuart was my unfortunately, for Stuart was my year tutor all the way through first, second, third year, and now he's is he Professor Baird?
He's Prof Beard, but he's retired now. He has retired. We had him in first year.
In a couple of weeks, and he's a delightful person now that I'm not as annoying him as a student. And
he's
great time in Dublin or in Galway a couple of years ago. And I mean, Stuart was quite involved with the setup of the school in Galway, so I'm quite surprised then that. And I'm not knocking Galway, because if you've listened to me over the last few weeks, they turned out some fantastic, excellent students, an excellent course. But it's quite diabetic wound care based. And so I'm quite not confused because it was set up, I think the first intake was 2008. But Stuart was very involved in that, and they used the syllabus there. So I'm quite sort of, you're saying now your course is like not very orthotic heavy, a lot of manual therapy, a lot of rehab, a lot of things like that. I mean, that's the sort of course that the model should be. So again, I'm sure Stuart drove that model.
He will.
That's certainly not the conversations that I've had with students that have come out of other schools of podiatry in the last couple of years. It tends to be still very root biomechanics and back to root. Bob Kidd's coming on in a couple of weeks. You read some of his stuff?
Don't think so, but maybe.
He's the anatomist, podiatrist turned anatomist who did all the...
Oh, you mentioned him before. Yeah.
Get your anatomy books out because it's going to be blasted.
All right, so I'm going to need to do some revision.
So am I. He's in like something or morphological, such and such of hind talus. He's a talus expert, but like talus from prehistoric man right the way through.
Oh, brilliant. How it's changed.
Yeah. And work with the guy who's like the world expert, working down in South Africa in the one of the universities there. It'll be fascinating. Apparently, people who like root biomechanics don't like Bob.
Well,
we'll figure that out on the call.
Root's very dated. Everybody knows Root's outdated. Like if you're still working on Root,
the Bible, it's the gospel according to Root. It is. What do you mean?
Root gave us the root. That was it. He started us on the path, but Root's so dated. It was in the 70s. We're done. That's not.
Listen, you're only 2 weeks qualified. What do you know?
Oh, fuck all, seemingly.
What?
Said a bad word.
Talking biomechanics. Come on, you're not the rule unless your patient's being ripped off. Unless you're being ripped off by 800-year-olds, then you're allowed to curse.
We learned the theory of it and where it came from, but we were.
Hola, Ingrid. Buenas tardes. I think she's Spanish. She might be Italian.
Myra in her course, she was saying only 12 in her year passed. 12, and that was GC.
Yeah, I mean, I started off with 19 in my class, 16 girls, 3 blokes. We had fun. I don't think anybody dropped out. I think maybe one person. I know talking to a couple of students from Galway one year, like when the first day of the intake, and they threw up a couple of diabetic slides. I think it was like 2 people didn't come back after lunch.
Yeah, we said
we might as well get them out very quickly.
When I think about the structure of the course at GCU, I mean, actually, we did tissue stress theory from first year. So we were learning Newton's law, we were learning physics, we were learning forces and pressures and materials and how different forces and pressures interact. So it was biomechanics right from the start.
My sister's on. Hi, Dorina. How's it going? Say hello to Dorina. She's on. I mean, it's, talking to the students in certain colleges. Tissue stress, what's that? I may have heard of Kirby, possibly Dannenberg. But yeah, unified theory?
No, I don't know this unified theory. What is that? What's that theory?
That pulls it all together. And puts it all in.
Unified as in the one body.
My colleague Lawrence Bevan works with Simon Spooner. That sort of goes to the guys. Right. Lawrence is nice. He's a sort of like silent sort of partner behind a lot of that. He's quite a thinker. Lawrence with Cheltenham, and it's all root based. And Bob Kidd will tell you when he comes on. He told me an interesting story. His wife Roz is a podiatrist. She was like. Work with Tim Kilmartin in things. We've got an interesting story.
So they're still teaching root as the way.
Well, like I think I can't remember. We'll get the proper story from Bob, but like we went to some podiatry school once, and his father-in-law had been a podiatrist in the Manchester School in the 50s, and he was in some place in 1990. And it was a copy of the notes from the Manchester School in the 1950s. They're still being taught in the 1990s. It was all stuff with a bit of root thrown in.
I think in that time, though, since the 90s, the course in the last 5 years has massively changed. They told us this, and they change it. They're always... I know that they have to do the reaccreditation or something every 4 years.
Maybe I'm out of the loop because I talked to somebody where I was recruiting podiatrists fresh out of college up until a year or 2 ago.
And it was still there?
Well, they say that girl from a certain podiatry school in real nameless.
Okay.
She had no clue. And I know her lectures. I was on it when I did part of my masters. I was on with Emma Carley. Sorry, well, we'll name them. Emma Carley in Southampton. Hi, Emma. I think she's moved up to Brighton now.
I've heard of Emma. Yeah, I think she was on doing something.
Looks after MSK UK. Apparently, I'm posting too much. Nobody wants to learn any more biomechanics stuff. But anyway. And again, I think her point was that certain students are at different levels. So, I mean, maybe that student just never turned up for biomechanics class, but she hadn't a clue. And it was like brutal.
That's a nightmare.
She was coming to work. We were worked exclusively as an MSK podiatrist. So if you're coming to work for me, I want you to have a little bit of grounding, even though we would train you for 4 weeks before we'd even let you loose on attention. But we need to have some. Am I getting very dark? I need to turn the lights on.
You need a little. Look at how light I am. Look, get a bit more professional. Look at this. Look what I've got.
Is that any brighter? Oh, you've got a ring light and stuff. Let me stick the lights on. I'll be back in 1 second. And I mean, but I'm gonna blow my own trumpet. I mean, we would have a basic biomechanics sort of 1-to-1. We used to see a lot of students. We used to see the students on the student placement, and. Hold on, just be back in 1 second. I'll turn these lights on.
No, for certainly our end, it was very. Can you try not to wreck the?
Yeah, is that any better? And we would learn. You know, when the students came before we saw the first patient on the first day, we wanted to give them an overview of what they expected, what we were going to be doing.
Yeah,
we used to do a quick synopsis of biomechanics. And then we'd be like, Jesus Christ, why did you explain that so easy? Well, I understand that now. I was reading Root and I was talking about inclinations and this axes. And I used to, in our clinics, we banned talking about Latin names and you confuse yourself and confuse the patient. Why would you want to talk about that? So, I don't know. People always seem to find it hard. Why do they find diabetes easy and rheumatology easy and things? And,
do you know what? I think that sometimes it's been created into this big thing that it's not. It really isn't difficult. When I was on placement up at Maryhill Health Centre, I was on the Tier 2 diabetes rotation. And they had filled a slot, not with a diabetes patient, and it showed this guy showed up and it was plantar fasciopathy, suspected heel pain. He's looking in. And the guy that was on had just said, well, do you want to do this patient then? Because they're not high risk. I don't really need to supervise you. So he kind of just sat in the corner and left me to it. And he just left me to it. And then at the end of it, he just sat there and went, wow. Because they'd taught us so well that it was just like you had every assessment. He's like, assessments that I had never even done. He's like, I didn't get showed that. Yeah. He was only out 6 years.
Yeah.
And he's like,
I remember in one of my private practices, Neve, the physiotherapist, she was Irish as well. I brought a knee pain patient into her, and it's like, what's wrong with him? He's got a sore knee. Where's it sore? Oh, well, here. What tests have you done? Well, nothing. I didn't know anything about knee tests, Lachman's tests, and anterior draw tests, anything like that. Yeah. She was like, again, we only learned that since. But yeah, it was very basic. The students were, we're not knocking, but well, why do they find it hard? I don't know.
Because I think maybe we don't.
Hi, Richie. Hi, Lorraine Armstrong. Austin.
If you think about it, I think there's a lot of you know your anatomy.
Pardon me?
You need to know your anatomy, right? You need to know your anatomy, and a lot of people do struggle with that, right? You need to know your origins and insertions. You need to know what bones are there. You need to know what's underneath there. You need to have.
28. I mean, it's not that complicated.
But even if you don't know it like laser sharp, have a simple reference that you can grab quickly. You know, that you can go, wait a minute, what is under there again? Right, okay. And just remind yourself, you don't need to be an encyclopedia, but just work on that, know your anatomy. And then from there, simple tests, okay, how does it look? How does it feel? How is it moving? Is it sore? Is it a crepitus type movement? Where are they on the MRC scale? What's their muscle strength like? You know, just simple tests. So your MRC, so just like your muscle strength. So you would just grade it from a grade 0 to a grade 5, grade 5 being Perfect.
That's all quite subjective, though. We didn't bother with any of that or measuring or anything. We talked about that.
It was MRC 4 plus.
Yeah.
And exactly
we talked about that with Brain for Feet on Tuesday evening. Direct milled orthotics. People assess them in their clinic and then do all the goniometer measurements and they do all this and send it off and they use this direct milling machine and perfect stuff. Then they stick them in a bloody tumbler, big washing machine with a load of pumice stone and tumble them. It's like, what's that all? Do you not know that?
I do know. What's that doing?
So we just cast orthotics, like dry your standard not cam stuff where you direct mill it out of the thing. Then there's direct mill. Then there's CAD cam where you direct it.
Yeah.
And then there's CAD cam. You get the little ridges on the orthotic where it's being the milling machine's gone across it.
Never. Oh yeah, I know. I have. I think
direct mill to drill it out of the block. So you've cast them and assessed them and maybe goniometer and measured and done all that and filled out half a page of A4 measurements and send that off to the lab. And they mill it out, millimeter perfect. And then they get the rough edges on it, put it in a big tumbler with a big load of pumice and tumble it.
So it's just...
It's like, what are you doing? Anyway.
I don't think you need to be getting goniometers and stuff out to be working. I think you can assess somebody by just eyeballing and look. You can feel the quality of the movement. You can see it. So just keep it simple. And I think sometimes people overcomplicate stuff. I think,
that's because they're going back to root because it's
it sounds really complicated, and it doesn't need to be. It's very easy. Just
it is simple.
Keep it easy.
I can understand it. It must be simple. But it's no. And again, that was it. And especially in the last 10 years, when pretty much I was just a manual therapist for feet. It was, hi, Emily, and hi, Trevor. Trevor Mills is on. The whole Enniskillen posse. Whole Enniskillen posse's on. Austin, Joe, Richie Hare, Lorraine Armstrong, Trevor Mills. Everybody was Spanish. 8 people watching now. When we were talking about Scotland, there was only 2 people watching. Now we're on to back interesting stuff. Everybody's back on again. Anyway, where were we? Biomechanics. I think we overcomplicate it because it is all anatomy based, and I mean, I remember doing exams. You had to describe the rear foot varus as an incomplete derotation of the neck of the tail. It's like, what? What are you on about? It's nuts.
The hallux abductor valgus, the angle of. What angle is that? What level? What level of hallux abductor valgus? Is it a functional hallux limitus? Is it a ruptural?
It's a little bit like that. It's a little bit like that. It was that. What was that Robin Williams thing when he was like the poet? Teaching the fellows the poetry and appreciate it. And he was like talking about grading. You can't grade Byron type of thing.
I really hate to go that way. You had to put a quantifiable something on something because it's very objective.
That's where research and stuff is.
I totally fought my way through it all the time. I was always fighting with them.
But same when I was a manual therapist, it was all about that. I didn't even look at the patient. It was just the feel of the quality of the joint range.
You can feel it. You can feel if there's a bony end feel. You can.
Anybody's in the biomechanics, the private, foot mobilization Clann. Oh, got dates for you. Dates for the thing. 2nd, 3rd of October in London. 2nd, 3rd of October. Friday the 2nd. Saturday the 3rd of October in Aldwych in London in my colleague Wayne Edwards' clinic. Details will be probably coming up when I can find some time to organise it in the next day or two. 2nd and 3rd of October, London. I think we're going to put 20 people in a room. We're going to have fun learning foot mobilization and biomechanics.
Good. Are you going to do it? Tell me you're going to do somebody's coming in and you've because I'm thinking about from podiatrists coming into this, right? What do I do? I have diagnosed plantar fasciopathy. Okay, what
we have 60% of patients that we saw had it.
Exactly, right. But I think it's worthwhile recapping how they diagnose that, what tests they're doing, and then quick so that they're getting a proper diagnosis. Because I don't think people are actually doing that or know how to do it. Something simple like, are you palpating the the tuberosity of the calcaneus and known is it a point of pain? Right, okay, so here's some things.
I wasn't really into that.
How do you know they're getting a proper diagnosis?
It doesn't matter. You don't need it. Just
move their feet.
It's like a gearbox in a car. It can have all like different. I was just explaining that to the patients. Or it's like, foundations of this old Georgian building I'm in. There's a crack up the side. The engineer comes and he's looking at the crack at the top. I'm getting a new one. If the engineer's starting at the basement and getting there, the engineer
and just keep it coming.
The engineer that comes and wants to put an RSJ up on it, he's an orthotic guy. Just hold it up. I want the engineer who's going to get the stonemasons in to realign the keystones and put it back. What were we listening to the other day?
Okay.
When there was somebody talking about supporting the arch. I can't remember.
Oh, yeah, you were saying it was that Get Starter, Kickstarter or something you were talking about.
Oh, yeah, that thing about the Kickstarter. Yeah. And they were like, we need to support the arch. It was like, anybody drive under a railway bridge today?
Yeah, it's
supporting structure. Arches don't need support. Hello.
But that kind of stuff gives all of us a bad name, though, because people think that podiatrists just give out orthotics and we don't actually treat the root cause.
The vast majority do.
But that's what people think. They think that you go and see a podiatrist, they'll just give you an insult.
You told us earlier on people didn't know what a podiatrist does.
Well, the ones that do. And in other professions hate us as well, and they all badmouth us as well.
Yes.
Well, they do. Like, trust me, we're not very well.
Who hates us?
Well, if you look at, I'm not saying they hate us, right? But like a lot of, if you had to talk to personal trainers, physical therapists, sports therapists and stuff, would they be referring over to us? And I ask you, would they really? And what kind of respect do they have for us?
I know Neve, the Irish girl, who I hadn't a clue what she was talking about, Lachman's test and stuff. She never heard anything to me because she hadn't a clue at that stage. It was like a year qualified.
Well, yeah, it can be that they're not entirely sure what we can hit with, but also our reputation as a profession as well. We've got a lot of work to do, I think, professionally. No, I do, because I've sat in many courses.
You're not going to be able to get a podiatry job if you keep talking like this.
No, but I've sat in lots of other
qualified. You're quarters of the profession already.
Fighting the corner for the podiatrists because
putting in the naughty corner. I was putting the naughty
fighting our corner, but we're in the naughty corner, so it seems.
I was putting on the naughty step. There's a situation, really. Hold on a second. Connor. Connor's having a bit of trauma at the moment, so let me just answer this. You're not going to get a job if you keep on talking like this.
I would, from people that respect that I will fight the corner of podiatry, but I will push podiatry to be better.
Oh, shit. I mean, you were like, why do you want me on? I mean, if you organise the Yes campaign for Scotland, I'm sure we can organise something for podiatry. Anyway, you come sailing.
Sure, Beard has been at me to get involved in the council. No, I am not.
I was on the council in Ireland.
I'm not. No more politics for me. I'm done. I've had enough. We've got Emily Hayworth. Hi, Emily. I don't know.
Emily. Trevor Mills, Lorraine Armstrong. Well, see, sometimes there's 7 people watching, but you never know who's there. It doesn't tell you who's off.
No, you're on StreamYard.
A lot of Spanish people on. So, I'm big in Spain now. Because I was like, you want to go to Ibiza or do you want to go to Benidorm? You got to put your prices up if you want to come to Ibiza with me. And I managed to get on it. Do you know what a J yacht is? I talked with Bernard. I talked with the Spanish guys. And we're going to go on a J yacht. It's a J. Look it up after J boat sailing. These things, America's built. Only 10 of them ever built. 1930s for the America's Cup. They're like, Sean, my ex-Clipper skipper, his wife used to work on them. We're going to Palma and Mallorca in a couple of weeks. Going to get on the J boat. They're absolutely stunning. I might put a picture up on it.
Is it one of these big sailing boats?
It's about 100 foot long. It's built in the 1930s. It's an out-and-out racing boat. They're like a gentleman's club inside, like libraries and leather sofas and shit. And they drink scramblers and brandy pictures. We'll put one up in a second. They're absolutely stunning. And we're also going sailing. We're doing the Forgotten Feet. So you come and sail. We're going to sail to Scotland.
Absolutely.
Dave Cashley said it's a race now, is it? It's like, not really, Dave. We're going to, if we get a good wind tomorrow.
How do we always go on any boats with you? How does it always get podiatry to boats?
That's what I like to do a lot, but I wasn't fiddling with feet.
How does that even happen? Everybody will be like, what are they talking about? Boats?
Well, what we're doing for Forgotten Feet, anybody who doesn't know, Forgotten Feet is a UK charity, and they're doing a Land's End to John O'Groats next year, 7th of May kicking off, and we're going to do boating instead. We're going to do the same, well, not the same route. We're obviously going to go on a boat up the Irish Sea in their Hebrides, have a pop around. Only going to take a few days. We get a good wind.
How much are you looking at, Justin?
What?
Per person?
Oh no, we're going to get it sponsored. We're going to get sponsored. We're looking for a big sponsor. I was talking to my friend Andrew, who works for Man City now. I used to work for Martini Williams Formula One. I was on with my colleagues in Asia today. Jasper's got one of the biggest media groups in Asia. And he was working with a girl. We were on chatting with a girl who works for Twitch, a girl who works for a thing, and some guy was big in Bollywood. I'd never heard of him. And we should give a shout out for sponsorship. My mum was worried it was going to cost me a fortune. Well, we're going to get sponsored. We'll get the boat sponsored, but get everybody's thing sponsored. It might cost you a couple of quid. It'll be, it's not going to, I think Dave Cashley was talking about the cyclist. He wanted every cyclist to raise $2,500. The same way if you want to go and run a London Marathon for charity,
you have to raise,
New York Marathon, you have to raise so much money. And we've got a couple of good ideas. I mean, I came up with one. I always have some good ideas. And Dave come up with one. There's going to be like the route of the cycle. It's just coming through your town and you'll organise some event, like the same as a village. If you're on the Tour de France, will organise an event. And again, if you're not on the route and you want to, we want to get the clinics involved. There's going to be like an ice bucket challenge. Yeah, they can donate a $5. You can cycle 5K and patients to sponsor you a thing. So anybody's got any other ideas of fundraising stuff. So it wasn't until last Friday, and my colleague Tommy was like, God, if I knew you were going sailing, wouldn't have bought the bike. I was like, I didn't figure that out till last Friday because I just thought I was going to be helping out in the background, doing a bit of promotion on the Facebook and through the society. Then it came up last Friday. I was like, sorry, I was going to say, I'm not cursing. Let's go sailing instead. We'll get there quicker. I think the record, we're not going for any records though. I think it's like, I looked it up the other day, it's like 72 hours, 82 hours from Land's End, John O'Groats, so less than 4 days. Fair wind, we'll do it in 6 days. The cycling is going to be 9 days. So we might pull into Carlingford, where I'm going to move to. Or I've never been up the coast of the west coast of Scotland. My friend Neil, who I did a lot of sailing with, that's where he spends all his time. Richie knows Neil. And hold on. Here we go. Myra Thompson, I have a Forgotten Feet clinic in Glasgow. Can you send me a link? Anyway, get on the Forgotten Feet, DM me. Do you want to go sailing, Myra? A lot of people want to go. I think we're going to have to get 2 boats. I mean, it's just like gone nuts. We did that dance medicine talk a couple of weeks ago with Pat Ruddy. The video is going to come out soon. There's a group of dance medicine podiatrists in New Zealand who contacted us that we're looking to go. We have a couple of podiatrists in the States who are wanting to come over and cycle it. It's, I think they were aiming too low. They wanted 50 podiatrists in total, a couple of grand each, and that was it. I think I might have just made it a bit. We went global in Asia this morning. Well, it was nighttime there. That's why I lost my day. And they put it all out. They were all over LinkedIn. Jasper pays the extra bit of money. And we're only on Facebook and YouTube now. He's on Twitch and LinkedIn. And so I think if I pay an extra $30 a month, we would be on LinkedIn now. And LinkedIn is really good especially for more podiatry colleagues outside of the UK and Ireland. So, hi, Mike. Hi, Neil. Mara. I get a paddle boat. Haha, says Mara. Yeah, we're going to be a big boat sailing.
How many people will the boat take?
Normal sort of like 70-foot racing yacht. You want to crew it properly. About 16? 16, and you work on shifts. And Dave Cashley was like, nobody's going to go with you. You're going to be piss, Justin. It's like, no, Dave, when you go sailing, you don't drink. You're mad. It's a dry boat. And then he was like, oh, people won't go then if they can't have a drink. It's like, it's not going to be like sundowners and a quick gin pull in. We're talking like a racing yacht. The idea is to make it go as quick as you can all the time. So, yeah, if anybody hasn't seen my videos, they're on Facebook. I did a leg of the clipper around the world a few years ago. Sailed from South Africa to Australia in 4 weeks.
But do the people that are going need to have experience sailing?
No. You just need to know how to hold on tight and not really don't get off the boat. You don't have to swim either because you're not getting off the boat. That's a no. But yeah, no, we're gonna have a training weekend beforehand because people will have some basic stuff.
We don't need any experience. Not sure yet, but it's possible funding.
You'll be grand. It'll be fine. I'll be the skipper. No, we're getting a professional skipper, which is how I ended up speaking to ex-skipper Sean in Palma, which is how I ended up getting on a J boat. We're going in a few weeks. Might go in a month. Got 3 mates who are like, oh, we want to come. We want to come as well because you can't get on them. Like, these things cost the cheap ones cost about 10 million. They are. They only really let a professional crew on. So, I mean, I don't care. I even just have to walk on it and have a look down below. I don't care if I even go to sail it, but apparently we're going to get the sail one. It should just be absolutely phenomenal. There's only 10 ever built. But anyway, why are we talking about boats? We're talking about feet. It's going to be epic. It's going to be huge. It's easy. I've got to, anybody wants to know. Forgotten Feet. They're about to update the website over the weekend, and we're going to have a dedicated page, and we're going to have a dedicated phone number and email so that.
So, Justin, just reminds me, because we didn't really. I've obviously heard of Forgotten Feet, but it's not really something that's been brought to.
I hadn't heard of it until about 6 weeks ago. Until I was talking.
No, I have, because I've seen people doing stuff for Forgotten Feet. So, what is it?
I know that Emily down in Cork, she does something with the Simon community down there, sort of like Irish sort of version. Well, it's not .com, it's .org. And, there are certain things. I mean, I've done sort of like homeless sort of things. We did like a sock drive here on the, where's that not good thing? We did
the shoe and sock drive. We've done all that.
Yeah, those sort of things. But, it's been a bit ad hoc. And I hadn't heard of Forgotten Feet. Maybe saw it in the podiatry journal sometimes skipping through. There's not much in there. And they're always asking for people to contribute. But, we're contributing now. And apparently I've been told I've been posting too much in NSK UK. Like 3 posts in 2 weeks. You're posting too much. Anyway, I am. So Forgotten Feet, I'd never really heard of it until a few weeks ago. I was sort of aware of it. But yeah, so Dave Cassidy's been driving it, Dave James, Debbie Monk. I think Belinda's on the thing, Belinda Longhurst. I mean, there's a few. I've just been, all I do is send Facebook messages to them, and I get sort of like say, yeah, you can do that, and then away we go. So I sent a Facebook message on Monday. It was like, I'm doing this race. That's okay. And then I contacted Clipper, who I'd sailed with, and they, so when God knows what's going to happen. We'll get a sponsor. You don't need to know how to sail. You just need to know. You just need to have a trust in. Here we go. Hi, Emily. Emily does a rough sleep clinic down in Cork, down in West Cork and stuff. So yeah, boats. Yeah, no, don't worry. They do tip over a little bit. My worry is there's going to be not enough wind. That way, the main worry. If there's not enough wind, then the cyclists will have a bit of an advantage.
So is there not any engine at all on these boats? Is it all just the sails?
Well, there's an engine for putting in and out of port. But yeah, if you're in an official race and you turn on the engine, then you use the engine to aid you, you're done. That's it.
Oh, okay.
But engine, obviously if something happens and there's mast breaks, and like you take down the sails as you're coming into port and you use the engine. But no, engine's cheating. Wind. Turn around, head north. That's it. Make it go as fast as you can, and it'll be sail overnight. So there'll be 2 teams, two watches, and while one watch is sleeping, the other one are working. And then you go off and it rotates around. You just do that for, it's a bit of an endurance test as well. We did 4 weeks. That was a lot.
Myra's saying she's got a night of foot care for the homeless at Lodding House Mission. I don't know what that is. It must be a charity thing. Started a year ago, and it's been brilliant and helped me out with supplies.
Yeah. So
you just,
especially now. I mean, what I've noticed in where the place that I'm living now is in the centre of town. A lot of people off their nut walking around talking to themselves and shouting and things more than normal. And it's like, everybody's been stressed in lockdown and everybody's gone a little bit like loopy-loo. But, there's certainly a lot of mental health stuff. I mean, I was saying to somebody the other day, I was talking about the guys in Singapore this morning. The weather's been so fantastic over lockdown. Imagine it would have been like shit weather. How you couldn't get out. It would have been nuts.
Well, I think that you're right in that. I think with lockdown, there's either going to be a lot of divorces or a lot of babies that are being born at the end of the year. It's either going to go that way.
It's just like, but yeah, so Forgotten Feet. I might need two boats. Simon Costy in Harley Street. Simon's a good friend of mine. He's coming on to talk biomechanics and all things feet in a few weeks. When I worked in London, Simon was already in Harley Street, and I never went to see him because he was like God. I was like embarrassed to go like Simon Sales. I met Simon a couple of years ago, chatted sailing. Oh, who knew? Been to Harley Street a couple of times. Why's my screen gone dark?
Your lighting's terrible. We're going to need to get you a ring light.
Oh, right. Yeah, I'll get a ring light. It took me 8 weeks to get out of my webcam on back order for 8 weeks. I was used to be looking down in the corner.
Logitech one.
Yes, Logitech C920S.
Oh, well done.
There we go.
Nice.
Yeah, and I was talking to the Spanish guys. I didn't just buy it for the first one I saw. Let's get back a little bit more sort of foot related and business related stuff. And if Richie's still watching, he'll tell you I'm an absolute nightmare. We go away. We're going away. I'm going away with Richie for a weekend. We will go to rugby and we travel all around. He'll tell you the story of the Rugby World Cup. I would have had the restaurant picked out like 2 months before we go. Would have read the reviews, know what's on the wine list. I'm anal like that. And so I was saying to the Spanish guys, I didn't just buy this webcam. Went to 2 or 3 review sites and looked at it and found out what the best one was and did a review and stuff. In the same way as the Spanish guys were talking about TripAdvisor. TripAdvisor is a review site. They just don't have one picture of the hotel. They've got 132 pictures. They got the front of the hotel, the inside, the lobby, the reception, the bar, even down to the soap in the dish and the potpourri and the bloody toilet.
What does that say about you then?
No. But what I'm saying is about TripAdvisor. Why does a hotel have that many photographs on it? It's because that's what people do, and they research it and the things. And that was the talk in Firefly, and that's what we talk that my friend Mark says, you just keep sounding like a stuck record. If you just think that patients appear in your practice in a puff of smoke, like we talked with Jerry Durham about, it doesn't happen.
No.
They review you. They look at you. They come and see you on Facebook. They look at your website. All right, Mark Woods, you finished service already, Chief? Yeah, it is 1:29. Mark and Connor Woods out in Carlingford. You ever want to? That's where we're going to go when we're beating the cyclists. Where I'm moving to next week, Carlingford, absolutely stunning place. Hi, Mark. Mark owns the Kingfisher in Carlingford, east coast of Ireland. Just
never been to Ireland. I've never ever been.
We're going to stop off in Carlingford. Probably stay about 2 days, and we're still going to beat the cyclists up there. Well, if there's enough wind. But anyway, if you don't think that patients are reviewing you like you review your hotel that you're going to go and stay in.
Of course they do. They look at lots of.
No, hold on. No, what do you mean? Of course they do. You've got a business head on you. You've been running this for 20 years. You've been emailed the fortunes in the follow-up for years. How many patients have signed up for your online Pilates classes since the lockdown?
Oh, for the monthly memberships. I think we're about 165 or something now. Really? So they're doing classes.
Hey, how much a month?
20. Well, depends what they're on, but about £25 a month.
Okay, not that much money, but with 165, it's you can go to holiday in Ibiza if you want soon. It's I
build that up.
It's back to. Well, we're going back to what we talked about in the first 10 minutes. You think I'm rambling, but I do pay attention. If all these people are out there with foot problems and there's so little podiatrists, why isn't there a queue out the door of every clinic? Why isn't there a year wait?
Because they don't know that we can fix that. They don't know that that's our job. They don't know that we exist. Because we don't tell them that. We don't talk to them. We don't talk to them in their language about what their problems are.
Like I said, my colleague, and I'm not going to name him, but he's been listening for weeks and seen this stuff. We talk technical. Look at my video. Look at my video I have up. Alan in the coffee shop thought like biomechanical assessment, something you do to the car. It's like that's all I could pull up 5 websites now. We'll just put in like heel pain, Dublin. Pull up 5 podiatry websites, and they'll be exactly the same, generic. They all talk about themselves, talk about their equipment, talk about this. Patients don't give two.
But they don't. The problem is, Justin, is that it's only simple if you know, right? And it's not.
Maybe we're woke. Are we woke?
No, we've just expanded our thought process beyond our field and looked at what other people are doing and realised that no matter what business you're in sales. It doesn't matter what you're doing, you're selling. Because if you can't sell, then you can't serve.
Well, that's back to we don't want to sell.
You have to sell. Everything you do is selling. Everything you do.
When I talk about selling, and I talk about that making kids, if you got kids and you make them make a choice of breakfast, that's a sale.
Everything is.
I'm saying, you don't say to the kids, like, what do you want for breakfast? Charlie, do you want cornflakes or do you want sugar puffs? Hello, I don't have sugar puffs anymore. Do you want toast or do you want eggs?
Full of sugar.
Sugar puffs are great. I got a box a couple of months ago and they've really shrunk down. They were like,
I have had dictatorship.
Reduced sugar. All that European. But anyway, you got to make a choice. You just don't go, what do you want for breakfast? Because that's like a half an hour decision. You want cornflakes or do you want Rice Krispies? I'll have Rice Krispies, please. That's it. You got to make people make a decision. Yeah. But if it's like open-ended and stuff, it's too much choice. And I talked about all that before. There's too much choice if you got a pain in your foot. There's a doctor, there's a surgeon, there's a podiatrist, there's a lady down at the butcher says, there's tablets, there's insoles, there's doing nothing. And that's why people get confused. That's why somebody's sitting in front of you 4 years when they've got foot pain. Not that they didn't want to get it fixed. They didn't know the right questions to ask about how to get it fixed. It's just a whole psychological thing. Anyway.
No, you're right. You are right.
But I'm worried that I'm coming on and people are just tuning out because I'm still saying the same thing that I was saying at the start of lockdown.
But the difficulty, Justin, is that it needs to be at a higher level. So like if you go into too much bashing and too much detail, then you lose people. It needs to be
lose people in terms of what? Lose your podiatrists.
Because
we're in one call and they were like, how much do you think we should put our prices up? And I was like, double it.
But they don't but there's a whole disbelief that they're worth that. So there's a whole deeper problem there with them. They have that. You're not worth that. Oh my goodness.
I ran practices really, really badly for about 12, 15 years, like really badly. I didn't value myself. That's why I never. Well, there's another story about orthotics because there was always that fingers crossed whether we were going to work or not. And if you listen back to the Ronnie Ward talk, did you listen to that?
I have heard it.
The American podiatrist says your orthotics don't work. When you turn up the work, there's a hole in your front window. And you go inside, and there's a pair of orthotics tied around a brick. And it's been thrown through your window. That was a true story. That's a true story.
You're going to have to adjust. And
it was always that fingers crossed. So I was always like, maybe they're not going to work. I'll just do it off the shelf. Because you didn't want to ask. And you fudged the question. You just got to have that honest question. You've got to value yourself.
Yeah, but realising that, I think realising that every single patient's different, every single condition, and
there's one glass of wine left in here. I can feel myself starting to slur. So we're gonna go 15 minutes, and then we're gonna have a chat with Richie and do a Zoom.
This is going to go downhill. No,
I'll keep it together. Don't worry.
One of the things that I
drinking at 10:30 this morning. One of the things all I had was cachaça rum. I went to a couple of shops to try and get a bottle of beer because Jasper's all about beer. and all I had was like some Rioja and some cachaça rum. Well, we had cachaça a couple of weeks ago. I woke up in the morning, there's about this much left, and I wonder why my head was sore. But anyway.
No wonder.
Why do we not value ourselves, Sarah? Jane?
It's not just podiatrists, that's human beings as a whole. It doesn't matter what you're selling. So see if you're going
dentists value themselves. Solicitors, that was the other thing with the Spanish guys.
But the thing is
that was the other thing with the Spanish guys. It was like, the solicitor next door, the accountant next door, the car servicing garage next door, they're all charging the same prices whether you're in Dublin, whether you're in Valencia, whether you're in Sydney, or whether you're in Azerbaijan. But the podiatrist, and you know how much you charge in Spain? Oh my God.
Isn't it?
Oh, well, like some insurance companies pay out between €4 and €15. Phil Mann, if he's down, Phil is a colleague who worked with us in London. Phil's a great lad. He did about 6 years in Bermuda. Phil likes sunny places. He was like free diving for like stuff in Bermuda. Now he lives down the Costa Brava. At least Phil's charging €32. And Phil's probably charging top dollar in Spain. I think Jose in Valencia charges 24. Like nuts. Imagine getting paid €4 for a treatment. I know manual del dias are quite cheap, but that was the thing with the Spanish guy. Eleva los precios. Put your prices up. Do you want to go to Benidorm? Nobody in Spain wants to go to Benidorm.
Justin,
do you want to go to Ibiza?
What you have to realise is that when you're going to be doing mentoring and helping your clients, you're also going to be helping them with self-development, because they're going to have to start believing in themselves. So no matter what you do, you're going to have to work on them. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that was it. As you mentioned Gary V earlier on, and when I was put on the naughty step in Ireland because I was like used some foul language, and that's all that person saw out of a whole 40 minutes that I spoke out of a whole hour and 20. All they took was that guy said fuck twice. That completely filtered the other message. And that's that whole Gary V thing. Anybody who doesn't know him, well, I'm just doing what Gary V told me.
Gary Vaynerchuk.
Gary Vaynerchuk. Yeah, he's my friends in media like Jasper and like Dominic, who work for big media groups, hate him because he's giving away all the secrets.
You give away your best stuff for free.
Give away your best stuff for free. Hello. Why do you think I'm sitting at like 9:30 on a Saturday night talking to you, doing stuff for free? So somebody's going to come along and they're going to pay me. I've got quite a good few people want to pay me now because I haven't stopped talking for the last 3 months.
But you build up when you give away your stuff for free. You've known that.
But Gary V's like, lose the ego.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about you.
No.
Turn the phone around. Start communicating. Give away your free stuff. This is what you've got to start to do with patients and value yourself. And he's all about just want to be happy. That's all he wants. You want to be happy. I'm happy. I'm ecstatic compared to what was a couple of years ago. Jesus. And that's what it is. Don't worry about what other people say. Don't worry about judge. And yeah, just be yourself, which is why I cursed and was put in the naughty step. And, but again,
that's fine.
But again, I'm not worried about that. Because we're global now. I mean, I've got podiatrists in the States, podiatrists in New Zealand, podiatrists in Argentina. I've got so many Joses in one of my private groups. My friend Tito from Australia the other day was like, he met his cousin, Jose B. Sorry, anybody Spanish watching. Because we've got about half a dozen people in Spain on at the moment. There's only 3 people watching, and they've stopped listening to us around.
Am I right in saying that you sold your practice?
Yeah, I managed to just luck out and sell my practices in last December. Hi, Tommy, that wants to go sailing instead of biking. Oh, you're stuck now on the bike, mate. You can come. Well, anyway, this is the other thing we forgot to tell everybody. When they sail the boat there, you just can't leave it there. You got to bring it back down to where you got it from. So there will be a return trip. They're not like a bike we can just put in the back of the car once you get to John O'Groats and bugger off home. Got to sail the boat back.
Can the skipper not do that?
No. Yeah, well, you can do it on a fucking 3 or 4 crew. You're just cruising down. I mean, 3 or 4 people can sail. A big boat like that. Yeah, you need about 6 or 8. But like, we're sailing property and do a watch system and stuff. You need about 16 or 18. We might have 2 of them. So anyway, back to where were we?
Oh, you've lost me.
Value yourself.
Oh, that's
no. I didn't value myself for a long, long time, especially in podiatry. That's why I didn't want to charge enough. Didn't think, ran things really badly. Never want to have that awkward conversation, because we all know, and that's what we talked about earlier about plans and stuff, and we know what it's going to take to get that patient properly better.
But we
just go, we'll see you in 2 weeks, and we'll see you in another 2 weeks. And I talk when I was training the guys who came to work with me, because they've all got good dental work. Do you want to go and see the dentist who's like, well, I'll do this and I might do that, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks, so we'll see how you're going? No, nobody ever has that dentist conversation anymore. It's like, oops, where's my thing not charged? Oh, I've unplugged it. Hold on. That's why the screen's gone dull. Plugged it out of the wall.
Oh, you've got no.
Everybody goes to see the dentist now. Everybody has a dentist conversation, which is, this is what's happening. This is what we're going to do. It's going to take X, Y, and Z number of weeks. It's going to cost this much money. And here's the plan. And da-da-da-da-da-da-da. That's what happens when you go to a dentist now. If I go to the dentist, that's what's going to happen.
So, like, see, these are one of the best books I read as a small business owner. So most people look, is it that one?
Well, yes, this is the E-Myth Revisited. Is that the one? The E-Myth. You got to read it. Why most medical practices don't work, and what are you going to do about it? Michael Gerber wrote that. This one was written.
Buy this book if you are in any kind of business.
Hold on, this one was written. And when was yours written?
E-Myth. Mine was written. It's usually on the inside.
Oh, yeah. Beside the ISBN number.
Copyright 1995, but I think.
I'm getting old. My eyes are weak. I'm having to do all this sort of stuff now.
1995, but I don't know if that's when this was published. But yeah, 95 roundabout. But this has been around a long time. But as a business,
from Harper Adams paperback edition, this was one 2004.
Ah, okay. So I've got the same one as you. It's the same, yeah.
Good books.
But this is a good place to start, and I think when you just start to think different, and you read things like that, it'll just open your mind up. It will, and it'll start a process of thinking, and that's what you need. It's a journey that you're on. But like things like
this is it. I mean, it's like, again, this is the sort of thing. I mean, I listened to all this stuff for like 10, 15 years before I figured out what was going on.
Exactly,
and stuff. And it's a little bit like the colleague in Northern Ireland who's heard me speaking, and I'm worried that he's like hasn't heard the message for over 3 years. It'll happen sometimes. It's like they say, you meet the person who, the mentor or whoever that you need at the time. Right. It's the same with patients. You got to meet them where they are. Ronnie was like that. You got to meet them where they are now. Ronnie was all about when you got a patient in, and they went blah 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 blah. His first question was, "What can I do for you today?"
Yeah. What do you
Ronnie
need?
was the one who was like, you touch the skin, you touch the brain.
Mine is just asking what the book is. It's the E-Myth Revisited.
Michael Gerber.
By Michael Gerber.
Change your life.
Okay. So it's called the E-Myth. Read honestly, if any business, it doesn't matter which business you're in, it's a really good, and it's why most small businesses don't work and what to do.
Richie Herskill. Richie, I'm going to be on the Zoom for a minute. I need a fag.
Yeah. Last one I would say, but loads of people don't know what to write or what to do. And you know, one of the great books that I read was by a guy called Marcus Sheridan. They Ask, You Answer. And it's basically about answering. So all those questions that your patients ask, write a blog on it, right? Do a Facebook Live on it. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to write about. I don't know. So all the questions, every single questions that your patient asks is...
I can't remember who's doing that. Who's that guy? Who's that guy down on the south coast in England? He started doing that a couple of years ago. Just as soon as the patient turn his phone around and start videoing and just go, that last patient just asked me this, and the answer I give them was that. And you just use that as a blog.
Yep, it's an easy. If you're struggling to find content and what to write about or talk about, that's it. Just
one of my first and only before the lockdown came client that I had, because we only started this journey in February. She wanted to write another Achilles blog. I wasn't legally allowed at that time to get into the car, but if I had, I would have got down and slapped her. Okay, because I thought we'd had a communication and a chat and a bit of a thing about what we were going to be doing. Because, again, she wanted to talk technical at them. And well, is this talking technical? No. So the latest blog we got her to write is the 5 walks that you'd love to go on in South Dublin if you didn't have foot pain. That's the title of it.
Yeah.
And then all you do is talk about the 5 walks. You don't say anything more about foot pain. But at the bottom of the article, you put, if you have foot pain, you're worried you can't do these walks. Give me a ring.
Contact me.
Stop talking technical. I think the email, before I started working with her, the previous blog she'd written was about Freibergs.
Nobody knows what that is.
Guess what? The world does not need another Freibergs blog.
And nobody knows what it is.
Need it. No, I don't know what it is. Foot mobilization is really good for fixing Freibergs, I tell you. Because, and again, Freibergs, it's a juvenile condition. It only comes, most of the patients I saw were pretty much late 40s, early 50s when their symptoms started to return again.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And a lot of colleagues had failed trying to fix them with orthotics. It's all midfoot stuff. And again, that was the thing. We were trained rear foot and forefoot. Second week qualified, I had a guy with cuboid pain, dorsolateral midfoot. I hadn't a clue what to do with him because nobody had told me at college. I'd done 3 years of training. If he had a forefoot pain or a heel pain, I would have been able to fix him. Dorsolateral midfoot pain, hadn't a clue. It's all midfoot. We'll get to that when we do the biomechanics training in October. And we're not going to do it like other courses. There's going to be like a huge amount of pre-course stuff. Again,
so some learning before.
But also to get rid of that nobody implements it. There's going to be a lot of follow-up on how to implement it in. I always wanted to go on a course that I could do something on a Monday. I did a course in London. I think, again, biomechanics summer school. Ray Anthony, if you're watching. Ray, I scared him off. He's in the Cayman Islands. You don't know who he is. I lived in a golden age. Now, through the 90s, all this good research, Kevin Kirby's paper was ages before. Dannenberg, Kevin Kirby, Bolson, Muller, Heiger, Logier, read that paper?
Well, yeah. Yeah. Logier, Heiger,
huh? Yeah, Logier, Heiger, propulsion. Yeah, put all these guys in places. I saw them all. The guy who told me about the brick through the window. That's where I saw Tom Novella. 1999, biomechanics summer school. You haven't seen the ballet talk. He was clinical gold. Yeah. Maybe going to New York off the back of that to do ballet dancers with Pat, who I talked about, who was the lead guy in River Dance. Anyway, that's another story.
I seen that chat.
Yeah, clinical was a golden age and stuff, and it was. Yeah, as I said, that gave me the multiple careers within podiatry that we've managed to have. And you're already telling me you're 2 weeks qualified and you don't want to do it. So what's the plan, Sarah Jane?
I didn't say I didn't want.
You're running. I know. Nicholas Sturgeon's going.
It's a proper politics.
Going. You're painting yourself blue. It's going to be for. What's the thing with the. Braveheart thing? What's that thing?
I'm not even playing this game. Behave yourself. I'm not playing.
You're not going to run for...
I'm not having an MP. No.
What happens when they campaign for the next yes? Because that's what's coming.
Of course I'll be involved. Come on. Of course I'll be involved. No.
How are you going to vote?
How am I going to vote?
Well, that's a given. Yeah, I mean, I have no idea.
It's not about,
Spanish guys wanted to know. Spanish guys were like, You can drive from the north. I was like, yeah, it's just driving from Spain to Portugal or Spain to France. It's just, you just drive across and you're in a different country. But it may be going back to how it was before, which was like not good.
A nightmare.
God knows what's happening. So what's the plan for Sarah Jane?
Probably what I want to do, I don't want to work on my own. So,
are you not opening up clipping toenails on Monday morning?
No.
Huh?
No.
Huh?
No.
And I mean,
No.
obviously, I mean,
No.
I'm hopefully going to talk to Stuart in a week or two, and I'm sure he's going to tell me all about you. But I mean, surely you must have obviously you're eyed wide open. Surely you must have been eyes wide open then for your colleagues who were with you, or were they just like, oh my God, this is Sarah Jane's up, and I want to go on toenails all the time?
No. No.
Because this is the thing. I mean, I don't understand where the whole podiatry thing, and I was criticised before for saying is, yeah, there's a lot of bloody nail sites, and all they do is sit around and talk about all the foot health professionals down the street are taking all their business.
No, I welcome foot health practitioners. I do. I welcome them. I will probably heavily get.
Ray Anthony told me was one of the first ones. Was like, don't worry about what your patients can afford to pay. Don't be your patient's bank manager, right? He was also the one was double your prices. See half the patients earn the same money. Double your prices. See the same number of patients. Double your profit.
Yeah.
And he was also one who told me, don't worry about anybody else is doing.
You're not the same.
What is it? Everybody's on these databases talking about foot health practitioners stealing their clients. You're not stealing your clients. You're clipping toenails. All you're doing is the same stuff. Somebody loved that comment. I'm going to get in trouble for this, Mara. I think you're like that.
Not. I don't have a problem.
Put a naughty step from there, and then I have to get post approved.
But I think as podiatrists, if all we are doing is cutting toenails, which I don't think.
Of course you are. You're just not. You're not any different from a thing. You're trying to monkey to do it. You don't need to go to college for 4 years to learn how to do that. I do understand there's whole underlying neurovascular conditions and all sorts of stuff. But at the end of the day, you're not going to clip toenails. What are you going to do, Sarah Jane?
That's not what. No, I'm not going to be doing that. I don't see me doing any routine podiatry. Really, I'm not saying I will not use a scalpel or will not use toenail clippers. Of course, I will.
Not going to use your teeth.
It's a big, hard one there.
You watch Cameron Kippen's talk. Cameron Kippen's talk. I mean, Cameron Kippen's talk was so risque, apparently, that I wasn't even allowed to post that I was going to talk to him. Huh? Are you serious? Serious. The guy's the world-leading expert in footwear development.
Oh, did he not have the foot fetish thing? Was that the foot fetish?
He's written a book, and one chapter was about foot fetishism.
Yeah.
He what was it? He did the blog site on the server had 4 million hits a quarter. And the majority of them was all about the sneaker. No, it wasn't about the foot fetish. It was all about the sneaker culture stuff.
Okay, yeah.
My Adidas, the sneaker culture. That was the most hits were on.
That all people talked about was
the whole thing. The Spanish guys hadn't heard that.
Hi, Ashley.
Can you imagine Spanish guys? You've watched Sex and the City,
of course.
Every Spanish girl has watched Sex and the City. Spanish guys hadn't heard of it. I was like, hello. Anyway, Cameron's book, he was ostracized. The guy who wrote the book before him that he built stuff on was ostracized. How did we all get here? Somebody was having sex somewhere. Anyway.
No. You're asking what I was going to go do. I'm not going to go write a book about foot fetishes, that's for sure. I have no plans for writing.
Gary Ward who wrote a book called What the Foot. And it wasn't right, even though a lot of colleagues thought it was.
Oh, because he had no right to write a book about feet.
Well, I asked him about that at the start. So, Gary Ward, what brought you to the thing where you thought you could write a book about feet? I thought it was quite a good opening line. I was going to say to Pat, the Irish dancing guy, hi Pat, was like Pat Ruddy when you were on Riverdance, and he was the lead on Riverdance for like 18 months on Broadway. Did you ever get anybody coming up after going like, "Want money back?" Because I thought I was going to see Michael Flatley, and I saw you, but I didn't. But Pat's going to be fascinating. Pat was like, so it's podiatry. Yeah, there's a whole big world out there. I think I said I had I've had 6 careers within a career. You're going to have the same. It's
I'm going to go in with my learning head on, my eyes wide open. Yeah. And I want to be around people who are better than me. I want to learn. I want to absorb. So I'm totally open. So I'm not going to just open up my own private practice and work on my own. And that's not what I want. It's not about making lots of money. Money's important, but that's not the reason why I'm doing this. So I am going to do the NHS.
That's why I was continually moving on or onto the different thing.
I want to be around.
I wanted to fix people. I wanted to fix people better.
I want to learn
for getting better. How am I on a Monday morning going to help to improve that patient if I've done that course at the weekend? Sorry, rambling again.
But anyway. It can be part of a treatment. In private practice.
Well, if anybody wants us to keep on going, we can still keep talking. We can go to 1:30 in the morning like we did the last. We're off 10:30.
I am on that stage at 9:30 tomorrow morning.
Well, you don't go anywhere because I'm just about to finish this. So anybody's come on late. Orla, I hope you're still watching. There's DJ Rockstar, Conor McCann.
There.
Check out Conor's thing tomorrow evening. Well, I don't know. There's 8 people.
There's 8.
Let's people. There. I don't know. He can't tell you. I mean, there's been lots of people on this evening. I'm going to be on chat to you, and then I'm going to chat to Richie, and then I think I might need to go to bed because, and then Connor, I think so. I was staying with him this evening. He's like, "Where are you?" I'm like, "I'm Dundalk doing a live Facebook." "Oh yeah, I see you now. I thought you were staying in my place tonight." And anyway, so Sarah Jane. For somebody who's like, if Glasgow's churned out,
they did,
or any other podiatry school has churned out, one as good as what I think yours switched on.
God,
as you. I imagine there's like 15 of you. Is there 15 podiatry schools in the UK and Ireland and stuff, or 17 or 16?
16.
Anyway, 16 and a couple in Ireland. If there's 18 people who've qualified as just as switched on as you, the future's bright for podiatry. Sarah Jane, it's been an absolute honour. It's, okay, we'll talk soon. Thanks, everybody, for watching. I can't remember what I'm doing next week. Doing something. Don't know who I'm talking to. Or we're going to have that Pat video. Again, forgottenfeet.org. We're going to sail it. Come along and be fun. Don't get off the boat. Hold on tight. Far easier than cycling. Oh, yeah, let's take a screenshot.
Of course I do.
Keep forgetting to do that. And... my Dropbox is a pain in the... Don't do it. Do it. Well, anyway, I'll take a picture now. So,
are you on Instagram?
Yeah. I'm over every time on TikTok and everything. TikTok.
Is that you with the glasses?
That's the one. I'm not dancing, but we're doing other things. I got 14,000 people watch me eat a chicken wing. And the next video, 45. I don't know what the algorithm's doing.
My husband's just messaged me, going to the chippy, do you want anything? What do you send?
What did you do your order? Because there must be... Anyway, so Sarah Jane, we're rambling. ForgottenFeet.org. We're on next week with somebody, I can't remember who. That's it for the weekend. Watch out for 2nd and 3rd of October. Aldwych in London. The details will be up in a couple of days once I manage to get things sorted on the back end. And the Pat Ruddy Dance Medicine, Mr. Riverdance, 2-time Irish World Champion. Pat's now makes World Irish Dance Champions. That's what he does. It's going to be epic. Anyway, Sarah Jane, are you still there? Cheerio. Okay, cheerio, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.